Good morning, ladies and gents. Sorry about the crunch, crunch, crunch you probably heard through my mic. I still haven't finished breakfast because I was a little distracted watching Dan Branny make games. For anyone who hasn't seen his channel, he does some really cool stuff with 2D platformers and roguelikes. Right now he's working on a spell system that has gestural components, and it looks really friggin' sweet. So, overnight, since it was more of the same, and I really didn't want to devote another stream day to this, excuse me, gosh, I filled in the rest of the trading transactional stuff. So you'll note I can select a bunch of stuff, I hit trade, hey look, I got money. And also if we want to double check that the transaction worked, sure enough, he only has a couple items. So I can then say, okay, cool, let's go ahead and buy that health potion back. And hey, look, now the health potion is back. It should be, yep, there it is in the inventory. And the NPC continues to hold items. I can then walk away, money in hand, and adventure on to do other things. So yeah, definitely was nice to kind of clear that out, finish it up, get it out of the way. It definitely wouldn't have taken the whole stream, but it would have taken enough of it to be kind of a pain in the butt. So yeah, that's the one thing I at least got going. Yeah, Kochi fan, things tend to move pretty quick here. Partially because, partially because as I do this, I'm doing a lot of pretty things off stream, and then I'm proceeding to on stream do kind of the tasks I think I can get done in 1 to 2 hours. If I think it'll take 3 or more streams, I've been kind of avoiding it currently, but I definitely do have to dive back in and do some of this stuff at some point. Hey, cool, we got a wolf in a turn. Wolves usually survive just past a turn, long enough to mess somebody up. And I gotta say, there are some optimizations that need to happen in here in terms of click optimization, so that it's the minimum amount of effort to enter the same input over and over. But that's something we can deal with after we clean up more of the UI and kind of get things settled. Right now, it's just a matter of functionality, getting the game to do a bunch of cool stuff so that when we sit down to make content for ourselves, we can actually go so far as to say, okay, what are we missing? And then how do we make this better for everybody to play? Like right now, you'll note that I've been casting spells, but their mana bars are actually completely full. That's something that's on the list of stuff I have to get done. It also helps that video 16 is, I guess it's 16 hours of difference, right? We're on video number 30. Today is day number 35 that I've been at this. Or maybe it's day 34. Something like that. I definitely have been at this for over a month. Every single morning, doing an hour when possible. So, I can kind of understand how things progress. There we go. Okay, fight over. Hey, look, end of fight, we get nothing. Wow. Oh no, there we go. I was like, game, why are you taking so long? And it is a little worrying that the game took so long when I did that. So yesterday I built up this little hut. Right now there's no way to walk inside. You can look at the front door, but you can't really go anywhere. And it's surrounded by a whole lot of nothing. So that's something we also have to repair. So in terms of content, let's dive in and at least slap the new grid node into place. And I still haven't come up with a better way to work with the grid nodes, so until I do, you unfortunately are going to see me do this completely ridiculous, somewhat stupid thing where I do this, and then I do, nope, other way. I do that, and that looks about right. I tell it recalculate. I might even turn off one of these connections. I can't help but note that you can walk through this wall here. So I'm actually, this is one of those rare cases where I think I'm going to turn this off. Oops, that was the wrong one. It's you I would like to turn off. There we go. I'm actually going to, oops, I'm going to select it first so it's at the top. And then I'm going to cancel this. Then I'm going to click here, and I'm going to cancel this. Just so you can't walk through that wall. Eventually we'll figure out some way to attach colliders to things, or to put some information there so that you can't or can walk through that wall without much effort. Really? Right before I'm about to get there, I have to get into a fight? It's almost faster for me to not... Since these are all bats, I don't mind like slaughtering them all quickly. If there was anything else here... Oh, there is a wolf. Okay. This is going to take a little longer than I thought. What? Ugh. So, I think glance is... You hit, but the armor class pushed it just enough that it didn't do anything. Which is somewhat hilarious. I'm just going to blow up a bat with a firebolt. It doesn't really... Really, guys? I should make my dev team just like this super party that slaughters everything in one hit. That, or make a cheat so I could like right click on enemy and like use a context menu to kill the enemy. Just so I can say, alright, cool, you die, you die, you die, we're done. Hey, what? Ugh. Usually you one-shot bats. I think they have 8 health, so I missed slightly. And it's funny because the longer I sit here fighting this thing, just to test out this door. Oh my god. My guys are getting, not slaughtered so to speak, but I'm having to start casting heal spells for worry that my party mates won't make it, which is not a good sign. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I'm starting to look at content. I'm starting to kind of decide where my my attention needs to go next in terms of how I'm going to start filling the world out. Oh, hey, cool. I can still cast Firebolt on it, even though it's inside the building. I got it? I think I got it. Yeah. Interesting. I have to think about that too, where getting into certain fights, hey, this is weird. Cool. I kind of forgot about that. The walls are obviously just quads, so they're one way. I didn't realize though that the frame and the ceiling were two-way, and so I can see out, and I can see the frame of the building I'm standing in, and I can walk back out, and if I look at it, it looks like a standard building. That's really funny. Okay, so today what I want to do is I want to get a lock on the door. I want to get some description text. I want to block the movement. And I want to make sure that regardless of what I do, I'm not able to go in unless I have done the following. Unless I have used a key in my inventory, or unless I have pressed a button in the environment. So I'm going to make a button that's either hidden or obvious, or maybe it'll just be a white cube until I get a 3D model for it. Regardless of what I do, I want the model to, when you click on it, trigger the door to lock or unlock. So you can toggle it, essentially. If you want to lock it for some bizarre reason, you can like hit the button again, and it'll lock. Or maybe we'll just leave it unlocked. There's little reason to put the toggle there. Whatever. We'll make it a toggle for now. And then we'll figure out, like, if we like the idea of it being a toggle. or if it's dumb and we shouldn't do it. So the most obvious thing to do is to say that we should be enabling and disabling the link from one of the nodes. So we want a script. That's the obvious thing. We want a new decorator that is going to decorate that node that has the enable disable latch, essentially. Think of it like an electrical switch, right? We've got the connection, and then for some reason or another, even just removing one side of that is enough. Once you remove one side, now the player can't move through. They might be able to exit, but not enter, which is fine. One-way doors, not a bad thing. Okay, so we need a new script. I'm going to call it a movement blocker for now. I can't think of a better name. And it's what I named my task text today, even though it's tiny, tiny, tiny. There we go. That's how I like my task text to actually look. There we go. Prettier, better. Actually open up Visual Studio. Come on, Visual Studio. There we go. Alright. Yeah. Thanks, Visual Studio. I understand what you're trying, but not a huge fan. Okay, so we required that this be placed on a grid node. So we're going to put that at the top. That's essentially some code metadata that allows us to specify for Unity to understand that this is a script that can't just be placed anywhere. It requires a grid node underneath it. And if you try and put a movement blocker on something, it'll automatically put a grid node down because it thinks that, oh, well, A requires B, and you don't have B, so I'm going to put B down and A down at the same time. So, okay, movement blocker, great. We need a direction. So, let's see, where... I need to look at my grid node because I don't remember. Okay, direction is just a thing. So, this will be the public direction. This is our toggle, or I'll call it the control direction. There we go. I like that better than toggle direction, mostly because it might not be a toggle. It might literally be a one-way. It's on, and it'll never, like, once you turn it from off to on, it will never change again. So it's not exactly toggle in nature. We'll have the Boolean that says it's blocked. And trying to think of anything else. I'll see if that's what I like. I'm not exactly certain. I'll need to figure out a way to integrate the blocked text. That's the big thing. Alright. Not public. That should just be void. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make the... Well, I like to put my headers... and we also need to make the game start in the state that we think it should be in. So we're going to get component for that grid node that we know is attached. And we're going to say, let's see here. I need a bit of a switch here, don't I? Mental is asking what exactly a movement blocker is. The idea of a movement blocker is it's something like a locked door or a closed gate, or I'm trying to think of other cases, like a locked porthole, something where you normally might be able to move through it, but because of, you know, someone closed the window, well, you can't climb through it now. Something that requires player interaction of some kind in order for the state of it to change. So this can be something like using a key on the door to unlock it. This can be pressing buttons to unlock or open or close a door, stuff like that. That's what I'm going for with a movement blocker. So first off, we're going to switch on our control direction, and actually kind of tempted to put this in a helper because I'm pretty certain I'm going to need it again later, but we'll just do this one at a time. So if you have east, I'll just move this into a helper function when I need to, instead of trying to proactively do that, because if you do it proactively, sometimes you end up with helper functions that are completely freaking useless. You called the helper function once, and that's kind of the end of it. Also, let's close all those NPC windows, or NPC code files. Okay, so gridnode.eastlink is equal to... Ooh, I need some temporary storage here. That's the other piece. So we're going to grab a private game grid node, and this is going to be the let's see, the final attachment, I guess we'll call this the unblocked destination. Just destination. Whatever. It's blocked. You won't be able to walk to it normally. That's the point. Destination equals gridnode.eastlink, and the east link is going to be equal to whether it's blocked or not. The destination, it'll be equal to null or the destination. And then I'm just going to wash, rinse, repeat for each of the directions. I kind of think there's a better way to do this, but I'm not quite sure off the top of my head, so we're just going to do an ugly switch statement. I bet there's a better way to do this. I really do. It might have to do with the fact that GridNode just has been poorly constructed in the first place. Like if I used GridNode and essentially, instead of storing them away in named variables, instead stored them away in some kind of smarter, data structure, it might be easier to deal with this. Okay, so on start, great. I'm gonna set, I can't actually do that. Okay, so we're gonna make blocked private. And we're gonna add a couple variables here. One is start blocked, and the other one is actually gonna be a property, not a not an actual variable. Blocked equals value, and then set set node destination. That seems like the term I want to use. And just for the sake of having this thing around, yeah, void set node destination. And what this is essentially going to do is only half of what this switch statement has inside of it. So it's not going to do the whole destination equals part, but what it will do is set the grid node based on what the blocked variable is. The name grid node does not exist. Of course it doesn't. Okay, that's fine. Now it does. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay. And in fact, I can go so far as to remove some of this from here and then just say set node destination at the end. Note how there's all these switch statements though. I'm not a fan of that. I'm really not happy with it. I'll have to think about that more. Right now, the top of my head decision says that I should make the grid node hold a array of 4 other grid node references, and that I should just use the direction enumeration as a way to access that array. I mean, that seems like the obvious thing. It at least feels like it would make it a lot cleaner. The problem is changing that will break every grid node I've ever put down. And until I have a better way to reset my grid nodes, I kind of don't want to do that at the moment. So let's keep going with what we've got, especially since this is as bad as I think it's going to get for now. Yeah. Okay, so we've got the movement blocker. We can turn it on and off in code, but we don't really have any way to turn it on and off via some kind of event, and we don't have any way to turn it off with like buttons or anything in the environment. So I am going to start with a public function, if I can spell public, and what this function is essentially going to do is it's going to let us toggle the block state. And the reason I'm making a function for this, instead of handling this the way that I might normally, is so that it allows us to essentially insert this function into an event handler somewhere, so that we can, oh, I press the button. Well, go to the movement blocker and call toggle block state on it, so that we can bind things in data correctly, such that, there we go. And look at how simple that function is. Like, it's not even difficult. It's just the way it has to be sometimes. Yeah. The blocked text is really the only thing I'm unsure of. I need to think about how I want to integrate that, because otherwise that's going to be a little bit difficult for me to handle. Alright, so I'm going to grab the grid. And I need to hunt down, I know it's, oh, here's our inside node, because I haven't renamed it. So, here is the node we need. Add component. Here is our movement blocker. We pick a direction. We know that we have to go, I think it's west. Nope, east. I messed that one up. Yep, it's east. So, control direction, east, start blocked, yes. Blocked text, locked. Because I can't think of anything better to put on that, at least right now. I need to turn off maximize on play, at least for a little bit, so that when I hit play, if we look at this, you can actually see that this grid node no longer has any states that it can enter. Ooh, actually, I just thought of something really cool. Why don't we take this and also tack it into the context menu? So, toggle blocked state. Do that for a couple reasons. One, so we can cheat if we ever decide that we need to play the game and want to get through the door without doing all the unlocking procedure. So if I look at the scene now, Of course, there we go. Okay, so you'll notice right now that it's all blocked up, right? No grid node. And then I right click on my movement blocker and I say set toggled state. Oh, even though I said start blocked, it's actually still available. Did I do that backwards? I might have. If it's blocked, oh, I know what I'm not doing. Blocked equals start blocked. And that's not a function. Why did I say that was a function? There we go. Forgot about that little minor detail right there. Cool. So link isn't there right now, right? There's none inside our east link. And then the movement blocker, say I insert a key or press a button. Hey, there's the connection. And there the connection goes again. Sweet. Pretty simple stuff. Now, tying into it is going to be something that's a little bit harder. Making something in the environment that you can kind of arbitrarily modify and mess with, that's going to be where this is going to get a little more difficult. All right. So I need an item in the environment that I can click on. When I click on it, I need to be able to handle the click and pass it through to any objects that on click decide they need some kind of state change. And then call any interaction functions that we also know exist. Trying to think of how to do this, because I only planned so much of this, honestly. I kind of last night in the middle of the night was like, I know what I should work on. I should do this, because having finished the trade UI, I don't really want to put you guys through more of that. Let's see here. How do we get that to work? Okay, well, first things first, right? We always need that object in the scene that does the locking or unlocking mechanism. What is going on? Oh, that's the UI. That scared me. Let's just make it a cube. 3D object. Hey, look, it's a cube. And the cube, aside from being underneath the terrain, bizarrely, that is also a large cube, but we can handle that at another time. Actually, let's just handle that now. Make it a tiny little cube. Maybe make it float in the air a little bit. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too much with the whole floating in the air thing. Let's just bring it a little above the air so it's kind of obvious what's going on here. There we go. Random cube. Oh, and the NPC encounter is still active. Let's turn that off. If we need to come back to it later, we can tack more stuff into it later. Whoops. Did not mean to get into a fight. Random chance. Well, I can click on it from here, right? If I really wanted to be precise about this cube, I'd actually be more tempted to put it aligned with the player so that they either feel like they walk past it. There we go. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've got that. We need some kind of on-click handler. So already I'm not actually certain that I handle any clicks that come and go through the UI. Partially because one thing you'll realize very quickly is that the UI, this here that's on the screen, is not actually a camera view, it's a render texture. So just clicking on this doesn't tend to do anything at all. We could put a on click here that we just have to disable from time to time. And that might be the easiest way to handle our world interactions. In fact, I'm pretty sure, so this has an input enabled, so I think we want to do this to the party, where the party understands that when you click, we need to go in, make sure that you didn't click on the UI root party view, and if you did click on that, that we need to then raycast from the camera that actually lives in the game world and do that raycast. And then if you hit something, we need to handle it. So how do we do this? Party UI. Are you going to be the one who cares about this? Because somebody needs to detect the click, right? I'm actually kind of tempted to put it in the party. Yeah, thank you, I guess. Oh, I see. If I put it inside the party, yeah, if input enabled. Okay, so here's the movement controls and the rest control. And at the end of this, we're also going to add if input.get mouse button. I think it's get mouse button down, actually. Yeah, because we're looking for clicks, not for when the mouse is down. Otherwise, you could just click and drag across the world, and it would just click on everything you came across. That would not be good. So when you click, I've done this somewhere else. I think it's the target picker has this code in it. Yeah, here it is. So I don't like copying and pasting code. I never really have. It's just something you don't want to do. Most of this code is going to be very similar to whatever is going to end up in our party class. So I don't want to replicate the code. What I do want to do is I do want to shift it out to somewhere else. So what I think I'm going to do, and I'm just going to look at this real quick. Yeah. So we're going to only abstract it out to the raycast hit level. So the moment that we hit something in the raycast, we say, oh, by the way, there's information you should know about, just so you know. Actually, no, better idea. Bool. World raycast. I think that's a decent name for it. Oh, you know what? It'll be viewport. Party view raycast. Better. I'll think about it as I keep going. Okay, cool. And what we're going to do is we're essentially going to grab, I'm just going to grab this whole chunk, and then we'll pare it down. Party instance, great, we've already got all that. We then use this. Okay, so here's the point. So that can go away. And what we're going to do is we're just going to return this. We're returning the info that we know came in. Not all code paths return a value. No, they don't. This will return null. Oh, sorry, not null. Not null at all. This is just an auto miss. If you don't click on the party view, obviously you're not going to get party view clicks. That's just how it works. Out must be assigned before control leaves. Hit info. I'm just going to fill it with garbage because you missed. You didn't click on the party view. Congratulations. In a perfect world, I definitely would be a little more worried about passing this in. And specifically, I guess I'd be more worried about allocating unused memory, because this is going to get allocated and then pretty much thrown right out. So I'm a little hesitant to do something like this. Can I just do this? As long as something, because it's a non-nullable value type. Really? Oh, it's a struct. Okay. Then I don't mind casting new on it. Because that's new is just going to call through the constructor on it. Just by existing, it really already is getting handled to some degree. So let's try it. So we say if the GameUtil dot party view raycast, and we just need our raycast hit. Here's our hit info. Out hit info. I can move this code to in here, and then I can get rid of pretty much all this. That's nice and tidy looking. I actually I can really, I dig it. Looks good. So now that we've done that to the target picker, it shouldn't be too hard to do something like this to our party when we click on the screen. We'll call this one hit info as well. We then say if GameUtil dot party view raycast, here's our hit info. So if this is valid, if we've hit something, then Visual Studio crashes, apparently. Wow. Okay, it's just Visual Studio that's not responding. Uh-oh. Oh no. Guys, I'm really sorry. I've been having technical difficulties with my computer. Apparently, yeah.